The mustaches worked!
Do you know what that means? We are invincible! Now that we're men, we can do anything. Now that we're men, we are invincible. Now that we're men, we'll go to Chelsea! Get the crown, save the town, and Mr. Crown!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the very first episode of the Now That We're Men podcast with your host, Michael Hayes. That's not me. That's my friend next to me.
Smooth.
Yep. I'm his co-host, Christian Cameron. You could find our links to our Instagram accounts and the official Instagram accounts for the Now That We're Men podcast in the description below. But without further ado, Mikey, if you want to introduce our topic.
So today we're going to be sharing our high school opinions on school openings. Yeah, it's just not seem like we would ever be talking about this, but in the world that we live in, I guess now it's political.
Yeah. So I guess with like the recent events, as I'm sure you all know, can't say the C word on YouTube because they'll demonetize you for. I mean, we're not getting monetized obviously, but the C virus. Let's just call it that, I guess. With all this stuff going on, school opening's kind of sketchy. So right now we have three options. You can either go to school full time and do it online. You can do half and half. With half and half, obviously you choose to do some classes, you choose to do some at home, and just how it works. For me, I feel like a lot of this is kind of, I don't know, it's just kind of been overdone a bit. At the same time, it also hasn't. It's like, it's just kind of weird. It's like some people are like throwing it way overboard. Some people are understating it. And some people are, being smart and in the middle. But I feel like school should be open. But I agree with what they're doing. You can choose what you want to do. But I feel like if you're scared of the coronavirus just going to school, but you haven't gotten it within these past 4 or 5 months, I think you're a little... it's interesting.
I think I know a lot of students our age really want to go back because they need that social interaction, but even them limiting it, I know people now don't care about it. They want to go back. They want to have that interaction that they've been missing out on for how many months now, and they just need to go back and want to go back. Whereas these crazy parents, they're like, no, this virus is going to kill us all. When the mortality rate is minimal, It's not even 1% global.
Yeah. Statistics show that at least last year, I'm fairly certain in saying that the flu killed more people last year than it did this year, and the flu wasn't a pandemic.
The flu is still more deadly than this year.
I mean, obviously, this one's a little controllable, but more people die of an overdose every year than stuff, and more people die in car crashes and stuff. Obviously, all that's controllable, but just to put this into perspective, more people die of those things than anything. Well, not anything else, but than the coronavirus. Yeah,
the coronavirus is barely lethal to anyone our age with average health. Where, if you got diabetes or some underlying health condition, stay home. I respect that because you are caring for yourself. You are making sure you do not catch this virus that could kill you if you have these conditions. But even then, it's so rare that you're going to catch it. Even though it spreads like wildfire, just going to school and taking those precautions with the mask, it's difficult to catch it.
Definitely.
Especially if you're going to take precautions that the CDC is advising. It's going to be difficult to catch it.
It's really funny. It's my grandparents, right? My grandma's kind of a conspiracy theorist. She comes up with really stupid stuff all the time. And today we're sitting down watching our church online because they're scared to go to church now. My grandma's like, last year I got really sick and they didn't know exactly what's wrong with me. They just said it was pneumonia. What if it was the coronavirus? I'm like, look, that was not the coronavirus. And they said, how do you know? And I'm like,
because the coronavirus outbroke.
Yeah, exactly. But then they're like, but what if the government was hiding it from us? And I'm like, well, no, because if you saw how fast it spread, some people are still saying oh yeah, the coronavirus, it's been a thing for a while now, when it hasn't, because it spread so quickly. There's no way it could have been underlying for so many years, and all of a sudden, I'm gonna just go kill everyone now. It just doesn't work like that.
Yeah, the coronavirus is going to be detected. If the first guy who got it, they said he ate a bat or something, and he goes to the hospital, they're instantly going to know, okay, this is not some of these conditions, because, those conditions, they have books where it's okay, if it's this, it has this, this, and this, and if it's this, it has this, this, and this. If that doesn't line up, they're going to start researching, which is what they did. But that's why it's so hard to pinpoint it, because We don't know where it came from still. Everyone's saying it's the guy with the bat, but no one knows that for sure. They have not confirmed that. So that's why they're still trying to navigate back to the source to figure out where it is, where to stop it, and eventually just to get that vaccine so to make life normal again.
For sure. Okay, so since this topic's like pretty minimal, like opening up schools, I think we should open up this topic a little bit to opening up businesses and just places in general. So what would you say do you think all businesses should be open? Some, not a lot. Like, where do you stand?
I think mostly local businesses should be open.
Okay.
All local businesses should be open. If you open your business in this town and it's the only one, it should be open. But those big chains like Walmart and stuff, Walmart, Winn-Dixie, if there's enough of them, not all of them should be open.
Okay.
Like down in California, San Francisco, my godfather lives there. He says they're in complete lockdown. He's left his house 4 times in the past 4 months. Like, there's nothing you can do. Nothing's open, and you're starting to see these effects of all these businesses shutting down for good. The papers on their doors, they are not opening again. Whereas Florida, where we opened a little bit, or we started to open, and then this coronavirus re-hit, these businesses now have money, and they're starting to open, and they're expanding their stuff. They're delivering. Like, look at this Jimmy Hula's. They are now door dashing their food, and they're getting money.
Yeah, definitely. So, let's see. I guess I share many of the same opinions as Mike. You differ a little bit here and there, but I definitely think. Well, for one thing that you said, like if it's big corporations and there's a lot of them in the city, I don't think you should close like a couple of them, because if you only have one of those open, that's going to attract a bunch more people to go to that just one, and it's going to be a lot harder to social distance. But at the same time, I don't know if you've been there, but there's a Dollar General by Seabreeze, and that Seabreeze is the high school we go to, by the way. There's a Dollar General right by our school, and whenever you go in, even before the coronavirus and stuff, like before like spring break happened and all that, they would limit the amount of people that would go in. They'd be like, oh yeah, just have 5-6 people in the store at once.
Kind of like Sam's Club.
Exactly.
Max 200.
Yeah, you have a max, like, just count how many people go in, and then just like, oh, hey, that's enough. I mean, obviously that's a lot of work, but if you're really wanting to social distance, you got to put in that extra stuff to keep everyone safe.
And my parents went down to Fort Lauderdale last weekend. They said they are so strict on those regulations. You go into a restaurant, you got to have your mask on. Once you sit down, you take your mask off, they sanitize your hands. You got to go to the bathroom, mask back on. You stand there with your mask on, you go back to the table, you can take your mask off, and they sanitize your hands. Like, they are so strict with it. And I think it's being really effective because you're starting to see Florida open up a little bit again.
So now I guess we can move on to like gyms. Do you think gyms should be open? Because gyms are, I guess you could say, definitely an epicenter for this kind of stuff, because you have people sweating constantly. Some people don't wipe down when they're done. What would you say?
Honestly, if you don't wipe down or like you don't clean up after yourself, why should you be allowed in there? If you're taking all those precautions to keep yourself and others safe, I don't see a problem with you being allowed in.
Okay, I respect that. Okay, I'm trying to think. What about you? Do you have any, I guess, topics that would relate to everything else, like certain types of places opening or like parks or something? I don't know.
Yeah, let's talk about parks. Let's see.
Okay.
What are your opinions on that?
Okay, so, well, for one, so like dog parks, right? I think this is weird, because like these are all mostly outside things. So when you're outside, especially in Florida in July, it's hot as balls, and the coronavirus has been shown doesn't spread as quickly in the heat. And like at least when you're outside and like you're doing something, you're not as likely to catch it if you're being active. I know that's like a weird thing and like a weird thing to say, but it's just, at least that's what I've seen and heard. But when you're at like parks and stuff, you have to be a little bit more careful, because there's been so many people. Okay, let's say you're an adult and you have kids, and your kids are playing at a park, and there's a bunch of kids there, and they've been working there before, not working, but you know what I mean, like playing around. They've been touching everything, probably not washing their hands. Oh my god. Sorry. I guess you could say a high school drama. That's just what we can crack that up to. But yeah, I mean, I think you're just gonna be careful if you're going I think that not everything, but most everything should be open to the public. But if you're not being careful and you catch it, that's your fault. Like, you can't blame that on businesses if you catch it at their establishment just because you weren't being careful.
Yeah, it's like walking into a grocery store that has... No, let me think of a better example. So, you're walking into this place that is, like, giving you say you're walking into a doctor's office, you know their sickness is there, and you're not being careful. You're touching everything, you're sticking your hands in your mouth, you're doing all that, and you catch it. Are you going to sue the doctor's office? What did they do to give you that disease? They wipe down everything, they sanitize everything, because you have to be so careful with sicknesses. And if you're not being careful and you're not following your own precautions, that is on you. That is no one else's fault but your own.
Definitely. And I definitely think some people will just try to, like, especially people that are more prone to sicknesses. Like, I know me, I have, like some, like, Chad immune system. I'm saying, like, I don't get sick, ever. And when I do get sick, it's because I'm faking it and I don't want to go to school. That's besides the point. But yeah, like, I just usually don't get sick, so I'm not exactly too scared of the coronavirus because I'm like, safe. I'll sanitize my hands whenever I go into anywhere. I'll usually wear a mask. Sometimes I don't, depending if I know where I'm going. There's not going to be a lot of people. Like, if I go into, like, a Walmart or something, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to wear a mask. I'm not stupid. But if I'm going into, like, some small place that I know there's no one's going to be at, I'm not going to wear a mask because I'm just not that worried. Or if I'm going outside, I'm not really going to wear one. But my grandparents are kind of paranoid. We have this bleach water in the kitchen. I don't know if they did this to you, but when my friend James, they made him dunk his hands in the bleach water and, like, swash them there. Yeah, I know. They're a little bit different with you, just because James comes from a house that isn't as clean, I guess you could say. Yeah. But, trying to think of
For me, going into those small businesses, if I see a lot of cars out front, I'm gonna stick my mask on. Like, I'm not trying to. I don't, because some people are asymptomatic. You don't know if you have it. You don't know if you don't. But once you get tested is like when you know you have it and when you gotta really take it seriously. But being asymptomatic and having these signs not show for up to 2 weeks, it is hard to know if you're gonna get sick or not. So you just gotta really stay cautious and stick your mask on, even if it's tough on you. Like, did you see that video of the Karen having her mask on? She's put a hole right down the middle to breathe. Yeah. So now, what if she caught the virus? She gonna sue the gas station because she caught the virus and was breathing and had her mask on like that?
Oh, that reminds me. So there are people that are cautious, right? But then there are people that are overcautious. So I went and visited my mom recently in Naples, Florida. She recently started dating this guy's name's Matt, and Matt was flying down from obviously in an airport. He was flying down from, I don't remember what state, but he was flying down, and he met this woman that had not one but two masks on, right? Then she had a face shield on, and then whenever she went to go sit in the plane, she'd sanitize all the seats next to her. She would sit down, sanitize her seat, sanitize all the seats next to her, and had gloves. She had multiple pairs of gloves on, had multiple masks, a face shield, everything. It was crazy. She had only wore long sleeves. It was, like, just thinking about that, like, some people do that. And I understand if you're older, like, yeah, it's scary, but at the same time, I don't think you have to be that cautious.
Yeah, being that cautious is, I think it's pretty stupid.
Yeah, it also can lead to difficulties breathing. There's been, like, signs of, like, people that have worked long hours just wearing their mask, and it's affected their breathing. Like, it's affected their nose. Like, their nose is now, shifting, I guess you could say. I don't know how the correct term, but it's, like, now starting to, like, it's doing weird stuff, and they can't breathe as easily. It's leaving marks on their faces. It's kind of weird, personally.
So I'm looking at the daily change in Florida. As of right now, there are 4,959 confirmed cases in our county, whereas there's 338,000 cases in Florida, where only 4,894 have died. Like, what are the percentages of that?
That would be a little more than 1%.
Yeah.
Slightly.
The mortality rate is stupidly low.
Yeah. So, I mean, and it's funny because, again, those deaths, 25% of those are not actual deaths. They're just people that have died with the coronavirus, but died of an other disease. So obviously the news is going to be like, 4,000 deaths, but it wasn't actually 4,000 deaths. It's doctors being late, not all. Some doctors being lazy and just like, they had coronavirus. Oh yeah, it was a coronavirus death. But when in reality, it was some older person that had an underlying disease that killed them, but they caught coronavirus while they were dying of that other disease. So if you take 25% away from that 4,000, it now becomes 3,000, but maybe under that, and now it's less than 1% mortality rate. So, yeah, I mean, it's a problem if you catch it because it does lead to other diseases which can mess you up in the future, but it won't kill you, like, immediately. And you still can, I mean, I don't know if treatment is a thing quite yet, but I definitely think in the next couple of months, hopefully, we can see a vaccine or something. I mean, I won't like it because I don't like needles, but I'll get it because, kind of necessary.
Yeah, that's why I do think the mortality rate is inflated.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think all of those deaths are from coronavirus because you don't see the news like, oh, this person just died and you should see their body doing an autopsy. No, you don't see that on the news, which is why I think is why it's inflated. Because if you do an autopsy on someone who died from a different disease, you'll see it. But if you autopsy coronavirus, it's not going to be the same, and that's why I think it's inflated, because the coronavirus, the autopsies, I haven't seen anything different. I haven't even seen them do one, so we don't know what the body looks like. But if they have done an autopsy and they're just not reporting it, how similar is it to those of other diseases?
Yeah. Okay, so let's see what else was I going to say. Okay, so you guys might be like, why does he think 25% of them are fake? Because in the beginning of the year, the amount of flu and pneumonia deaths were nigh 0%.
Yeah,
That never happens.
I got the flu this year, so I did my house in my house, and nothing happened.
Exactly. So the flu and pneumonia are obviously both terrible diseases that are very prevalent in the world today, like more prevalent than the coronavirus. Usually, every year, you'll see more deaths of the flu and pneumonia than what we had this year for coronavirus. But guess what? Flu deaths and pneumonia deaths were nigh 0%. Usually isn't a thing. But the reason why they were so low is because people that had pneumonia and flu were very susceptible to getting the coronavirus. So they were dying of this disease and then all of a sudden caught the coronavirus and then, oh, well, they had coronavirus, they're dead. And then, okay, it was definitely that. That's what was happening. Some nurses and some doctors were doing that because to say that something was a coronavirus death, you don't have to do an autopsy on them after you die. All you have to do is if they had the symptoms of it and you know they had it, you didn't have to do an autopsy to see that killed them. You could just say it's a coronavirus death. Like, that's what was inflating those numbers so much. It's just lazy doctors.
Yeah, and that's, again, why I think schools should be open. But, of course, the school board, they're going to look at what's reported. They're not going to see right through it.
Definitely.
And they're going to go by that, which is not a smart way of doing it.
So something the news likes to do, they like to put up big numbers. 4,000 is a big number, right? But you can't look at numbers, you have to look at the statistics. The statistics show that it's slightly more or slightly less than 1% of people that actually die in Florida of the coronavirus. That's not that much. Like 4,000 sounds like a lot, at least in this county. Wait, is it in this county or is that? Oh, that's just cases. Yeah. Cases are like 3,000 in this county. I forget exactly what you said, but I mean, because I don't know how many cases are in here, but if it's like 3,000, that's 1% of cases are in this county, which isn't a lot.
So in our county, there's 80 deaths, 4,959 confirmed cases, which is that number of cases is almost the exact number of deaths in all of Florida.
But so in Norman Beach, we've only had 80 deaths. 80 out of 4,000?
No, that's in the county.
In the county, sorry, that's what I meant to say. Sorry, 80 deaths in the county.
So that's even more minimal.
And 4,000 in the county. That's like a lot less than 1%. That is, I'm trying to think. So if no, that'd be 2%, because 40 would be 1%, so 80 would be 2. Okay, so it's a 2% death rate, which, like, obviously people dying isn't a good thing, but like 80 people out of 4,000, that's nothing really.
Older adults and people who have severe underlying medical conditions like heart or lung disease or diabetes seem to be at higher risk for developing more serious complications.
Exactly. Mikey and I are 14 and soon to be 15 and soon to be 17, but by soon, no, not that soon, but 15, soon to be 15 and 16. Like, we have good immune systems. He's a bit more active than I am, but I'm still active enough to where, like, I exercise, and we're both fairly healthy people. The odds of us getting the disease and then dying of it is very unlikely. And the thing is, it's that most people that are getting and dying from this disease are of higher than life expectancy, which is 74 in the United States. And most people that are dying of it, at least that so far, have been 74.
And even then, in Florida, the heat just stops it. I went up in North Florida with my great-grandma. She's almost 90, and she has nothing. She's so healthy. Like, she's not going to let this virus kill her.
Definitely. And like my grandparents, they're in their 60s and they're very worried, but my grandma and grandpa are very healthy. And I get it, they're older, but at the same time, as long as you're healthy and you just do, but they're cautious, so like they're definitely not going to get it. But definitely, as long as people are just being cautious about it, even if as long as you're not being cocky, like, oh, I'm never going to get this. Like, never say never. I mean, it could happen. But
what I think is going to happen with schools is I think they just pushed it back 2 weeks. So now they're thinking, like, end of August. I think they're just going to keep pushing it back until after Labor Day. And even then, I don't think they're going to open. As much as we want it to, I don't think they're going to open just because of those false facts that they're putting out.
yeah, that I could see that happening. That would be...
Yes.
I can't say that would suck, but at the same time, it kind of would. Because I want to go back to school and just get it over with. Because my junior year, I guess this is my first year I'll be able to go to prom or whatever. It's not like it's going to matter that much. But at the same time, it'd be cool.
Like our band camp. We have 2 weeks of band camp. They've limited that so much. We have to be 6 feet apart. We have to be outside. We can't go inside. We have a maximum of 3 hours a day. We can't have anyone within 6 feet of each other. We can't have music stands. We can't have anyone touching the same thing. It's so strict. I don't understand why we're still doing it at this point.
Honestly, band camp should just be canceled. One, we're not going to get anything done. Just organizing the whole thing will take 30 minutes.
Or putting us all in order and having us play with our masks on, that's going to take the entire 3 hours. We're going to get nothing done. I think it should just be canceled.
I'm literally just going to break a reed
instead of just sitting in the heat.
Yeah.
I think
it's just like not everyone can wear a mask though, because like they're half the band. Not even half, more than half the band has to blow into their instrument. I mean, I don't know if you can play brass instruments with a face mask.
I doubt it.
I don't think you can, but maybe like a mesh one. I don't know, but I don't know. It would sound so bad. It would sound so bad.
But how effective would that be stopping the airflow?
Honestly, I just think
that's why I don't think we're gonna
if people are so scared of this, everything should just get canceled. Like I'm talking, all football events should just be canceled. If everyone's that worried and you don't think we should do it, then just cancel it.
If you're as worried about school openings as you are of the school year, like if you think education matters and you want the schools to stay closed, that is so hypocritical.
For sure.
Because the teachers here aren't even that old.
Definitely.
Like, they're still moderately 30s, 40s. They are going to live through this disease. Mm-hmm. There's no one at Seabreeze, or there's no one at these main high schools that are at risk, that are so at risk for this disease, that I don't understand why we're limiting going back.
I guess if like schools open and then they get it, it's like a bad rap kind of thing. It's like, oh, you guys weren't being careful. Someone got the coronavirus. It's just kind of a negative thing of the school. I don't know.
But think about it. What would happen if someone got another disease like the flu? You don't see them reporting that. The flu is more deadly.
Yeah. Also, funny thing. I don't think Mikey was here for this year, but when I was a freshman, we had an actual gang war at Seabreeze. And, the school didn't shut down for that. There were stabbings and stuff. It wasn't anything too big, but someone got stabbed. There were threatenings of shootings. There was a actual bomb threat outside of school, a guy that said he had a bomb in a bus outside of school. No, they're not. People were constantly threatening the school, and they never were. They were just okay. They slightly buffed security the next year, but they didn't do much about it. But then all of a sudden, what's it called? A virus that has a 1% death ratio comes along, and it's oh no, we're all gonna die.
Honestly, it's sad to say this, but school shooters are gonna have a more effective death rate than the coronavirus.
Exactly. I don't know how you would calculate a death rate for a school shooter for I guess for every school shooting, how many people died
per year.
Per
year, how many people have died in that school from other causes compared to this disease.
That's fair. I wish I had the statistic for this. If I can find one, I'll put it in the video somewhere. But maybe I can do a slight thing, how many school shootings are there per year, and then how many people died, and then figuring out
how many people in our age range.
Yeah, how many people from
14 to 18.
So people from 14 to 18, how many people of them died from shootings?
Yeah, I'm gonna look up how many people from 14 to 18 died per year.
Yeah.
And then you look up how many people 14 to 18 die from coronavirus. How many people 14 to 18 die per year in the U.S.? in the U. Because these rates are going to be so off. So from 12 to 17, 82.8% of us are in good health. From 12 to 17, only 11 or the percent of adolescents aged 12 to 17 years who missed 11 or more days of school in the past 12 months because of illness or injury is 5%. So 5% of everyone aged 12 to 17 in the U.S. has only missed school because of illness or injury. That's only 5% of us.
Okay, this is actually a pretty interesting one. So this says tweens and teens, 10 to 19 years old. The important stats on adolescents and just turned adults. In Spain, out of 221 cases for people 10 to 19, 15 of them were hospitalized. 15. That's a 7% rate. That's not the best, but none have ended up in intensive care. None. Zero. Zilch. Nada. Whatever you want to say. Italy and South Korea have reported no fatalities for this group. China reports that 0.2% of cases for these young people end in death. And in the United States, there had been no ICU admittance or deaths reported among people under 20 as of late last week. Only a small percentage, 1.6, have been hospitalized.
So, how many people was that?
That's okay. So in Spain, for people that are 10 to 19, it was 220 people got it, with 15 people being in the hospital, no one dying.
So 15.
15 people got hospitalized, didn't die.
15 aged 15 aged 15 to 18, right?
Yes.
So
10 to 19 actually, which is even more of a thing. So
the CDC says age 15 to 19, 10,886 die a year, not from illness.
And 15 died from the coronavirus.
15. So what percentage is that? That's got to be way less than 1%.
Yeah, it would be in like.
That would be half a percent.
What's the number?
10,886.
Okay, Google. Divide 10,800 by 15.
The answer is 720.
720. That's 0.72%. Wait, no, is that 7.2 or 0.72?
0.72.
That'd be a 0.72%.
So not even 1% is coronavirus. And it's sad to say, the second leading death is suicide.
Yeah, it's.
If you keep these kids out of school, the suicide rates are going to go up. You're going to see it.
Yeah, definitely.
You're going to see
getting
it.
social interaction.
No one's getting social interaction. You're going to get bullied online. You're going to get all these bullies and online harassment. It's going to drive the suicide rate up. You got to put these kids back in school.
Definitely.
These parents that are forced to take off work and stay home with their kids, it's crumbling families.
Definitely. Because, like, my grandpa, he was making a decent, I'm not going to say how much, but he was making a decent amount of money per year, and all of a sudden, boom, laid off. I mean, he has extra money with his reserves because he's really good with money. But if he wasn't, we would be, like, screwed. See, now I'm trying to find a job, and as a 16-year-old, it's very hard to find a job that no one else, that people are hiring at. Because so many people have already tried to find jobs because of this whole thing, and there's very few spots that people are hiring at. So.
And even this week, just trying to get a job to help my family, the age gap is awful. Because, like, I'll be 15, like, a week or so, and no one hires at 14. Like, I applied the other day, I got the interview, I was sitting there, and they're like, "You're 15, right?" "No, I'm 14. I'll be 15 next week." And they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, we can't do this. We got to give it to someone else." And I'm like, "You can't hold the spot for a week to let me work?"
That's just how desperate people are for jobs, because there's probably so many other people applying. It's like, oh, you might have had the best resume, but you don't meet one criteria, and someone else actually has that criteria. So
someone has the C and D kid resume, whereas you're a week younger than him. And you have already a great resume, a college level resume as a sophomore. But I'm sorry, you're not within a week.
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
Very, very.
How desperate it's getting, this market for jobs. You just have to kind of start your own business in this thing, or you're not going to make it.
Definitely.
So you're going to see, after this, you're either going to see a lot of businesses pop up or a lot of them crumble. I'm not sure which way it's leaning yet.
So final thoughts on anything before we wrap up?
No, I think that school should be open. The mortality rate is bumped up. That's about it.
Alright, so with that being said, guys, remember to stay hydrated, have a good day, and
Thank you for tuning in to Now That We're Mad podcast.
well, not another, but our first one. Tune in next Monday, or I don't know, probably next Monday for our next episode, unless we feel like pumping out another one this week, which is a possibility. So have a good day, stay hydrated. Yeah, stay hydrated. Yeah.
Now that we're men, we have facial hair. Now that we're men,
I changed my underwear.
now that we're men,
We got a manly
where
flair.
we got the stuff, we're tough enough to save the day. We never had a chance when we were kids. No, no, no. But take a look at what the mermaid did. Ha, ha, ha. Yeah, go, Pat.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, go SpongeBob.
Now that they're men, we can't bother them. Now that they're men, they have become our friends. Now that they're men.